Oh, we gonna need more than that, y'all. Make some noise.
Shit.
We got Actively Black Tribe in the building. Make some noise. AB. We got Spill Mobs, Billionaires. Amazing, amazing. All right. I know it's hot, but y'all need to come up to the front too. Make our video look good. Get in this front row, y'all. I'm looking at the people I know. Get on up here. Come on now. That's right. That's right. Yeah. If she can do it, all y'all can. Thank you. It's for the content. Okay. So let's get started. For everyone, again, my name is Alphonzo Terrell. You can call me Fonz, co-founder of Spill, Visual Conversation at the Speed of Culture, and I am so honored to be up here with my brother, with my fam, my collaborator, Mr. Lanny Smith,
yes, sir.
Co-founder and CEO of Actively Black. Brother, how you doing today?
Man, I'm blessed. I'm from Houston, Texas, so I'm used to this heat, you know what I'm saying? But I'm blessed to be here, man.
Awesome, man. Well, we're going to dive right into it. We're going to have a really honest and dope conversation about your journey, Lanny, and I'm going to flex my new journalistic capabilities here. Y'all can see my cards and join. Like, we prepared, okay? We take it seriously. So, for the people that don't know about your story, it's one of the most incredible journeys as a founder that, honestly, I've ever heard in my life. And we're going to start with something that a lot of people maybe always wish they could do, but then didn't ever understand what it's like to be able to achieve that kind of a dream and then have to pivot off of it. So you made it to the NBA as a basketball player, right? And 33 days into your contract, a teammate falls on your knee, tears it apart. You're never able to play again at that level. You've talked about the darkness. You've talked about the things that you went through. Tell us what that was like, and then the moment you decided to get building in a way that ultimately saved your life, as you said.
I mean, since the age of 5 years old, I knew I wanted to play in the NBA. That's what I saw for myself. I was in love with the game, and I was blessed and fortunate to be one of the top-ranked players since 7th grade. I was ranked top 50 in the country, so it wasn't a far-fetched dream for me. I played my college basketball at the University of Houston. And then in 2009, I signed as an undrafted free agent with the Sacramento Kings. And like you said, man, a teammate fell into my left knee, tore the articular cartilage in my left knee, and I had 2 microfracture surgeries. My career was over with, just like that. And that darkness that you talked about, the depression, the identity crisis of not knowing who I was outside of being a basketball player, those were a lot of things that, I struggled with, and to be honest with you, unfortunately, a lot of, especially young black boys, we see ourselves as the only way we could be successful is to make it to the NBA or the NFL or whatever the case may be. But these are lottery ticket chances. You're talking about less than 1% of people actually get to make it to the NBA. You know what I'm saying? And I have an incredibly strong praying mother who has been supportive of me in everything that I've done, and that foundation of faith is honestly what pulled me out of that dark place of knowing that God had a plan for my life, and that didn't end with basketball.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And so folks may know Actively Black now, but that's not the first brand that you actually launched. Talk to us about that. Talk to us about the inception of that and how you came to that moment where that first brand turned into AB.
So Active Faith is the first brand that I launched. And, just kind of coming out of that dark place, my faith is the thing that pulled me out of that. And my faith was something that I carried with me no matter what I did. Before I stepped on the court, I prayed. That was something that was so very important to me. And so I realized there was no sports apparel brand that spoke to that part of so many of these athletes. So we created really what was the first faith-based sports apparel brand at the time with Active Faith. A couple of guys you may have heard of, Anthony Tolliver, Steph Curry, are my...
You might have heard.
Are my partners in Active Faith. But as I was building it, I saw this unfortunate thing unfolding where I was hiding myself from the public, knowing that I was the founder of Active Faith. I would say 65 to 70% of my customer base for Active Faith, white evangelical Christian, and unfortunately we do live in a society where seeing a black founder can negatively affect your business, and I was man, I'm gonna be honest with you, I was afraid that it would negatively affect the business. And I had experiences that supported that fear. I remember doing customer service, and a customer said, man, you sound like you're black. And I was like, I am. And he asked for a refund. And there were a lot of those types of experiences that cause an internal conflict, because my parents raised me to be proud of my culture, proud of my blackness, proud of who I am. And here I was I created a multi-million-dollar brand out of my mom's house, and I was hiding myself from it, and that didn't feel right to look myself in the mirror and know that, you know what I'm saying? And so it's actually two different brands. So I didn't change Active Faith to Actively Black. I still own Active Faith. Right. But I recognized the power of building something that spoke to community and to who people were. We got emails from people with Active Faith that would say, you know, I just got a cancer diagnosis and I felt like giving up, but I wore my Active Faith shirt to my chemo treatment, and it just gave me this encouragement to keep my faith. And so that let me know it was bigger than a shirt. It's bigger than a hoodie to that person. And the idea of, can I create that same type of brand for my people, for black people? That's where the seed was planted. And, you know, 2020 ended up launching Actively Black.
And now look at you, $30 million in business later. We're going to get into all of the impact in a second, but I got to ask the question that is on a lot of people's minds.
Yeah.
So if you're not black, can you buy Actively Black?
1,000%. 1,000%. Listen,
how about that?
We don't discriminate. You know, I used to give the analogy that nobody stops in front of an Italian restaurant and says, I'm not Italian, so I can't eat here. Nobody stops in front of a Mexican restaurant and says, I'm not Mexican, I can't eat here. You know, we are able to celebrate other people's cultures and their traditions and the things that make them great and still be yourself. It's the same thing with black culture. I feel like too often this is the only culture where that question is asked. Right. You know, we enjoy other people's culture and can be respectful of that. But yeah, I mean, black people buy Louis Vuitton and Gucci and Nike and Lululemon. We buy other people's stuff. We don't discriminate. If you support, if you love black people and black culture, you can wear Actively Black regardless if you're black or not.
Y'all hear that? Go get some AB right now. You're going to find something for you. So building on the success of Actively Black, especially over the last couple of years, this is a brand that you guys launched from your apartment during the pandemic, right? And now you have had partnerships with, you know, Barack Obama got the AB watch on the wrist, Steph Curry on the hoodie, Nigeria wore Actively Black at the Olympics, right? You've done partnerships with Star Wars, with Biggie and Tupac's estates, both of them. You've turned partnership, I think, into a superpower like nobody else ever has. So, one, talk about what the anatomy of a partnership looks like for you guys. How do you bring it together? And then what is the secret to building that trust with your partners so that they're willing to do things with you that they don't do with anyone else?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, when I was writing down the ideas and brainstorming for Actively Black, I had this notepad and I was writing down, you know, past, present, or future, living or dead, who would be figures that, you know, would epitomize what Actively Black is. And so the surreal thing for me, even as I'm sitting here talking about it, is so many of those names that you just called off, I wrote down. You know, I wrote down Muhammad Ali. Right. I wrote down Barack Obama. I wrote down Tupac Shakur. These are people that, if you could pick this Hall of Fame, if you will, if you could pick this group of people who would embody what it means to be Actively Black, it would be these people, right? When we first built Actively Black, I didn't set out to do collaborations and partnerships. The first one that I actually did was with John Carlos. Some of y'all familiar, Tommy Smith, John Carlos, 1968 Olympics. They raised their fists at the Olympic podium. And that honestly stemmed from a story I read about Rosa Parks facing eviction in the later years of her life. And it pissed me off because I was like, how could somebody who sacrificed so much, who gave so much to the civil rights movement, to our people, be in a situation where she can't pay her rent? And so the first thing I did was I tried to research, okay, who were some other civil rights activists who were still living that I could support? and reached out to John Carlos, and we created a collection that we were able to sell that product, and then I can pay him monthly from that collection that we're selling, and I'm supporting him. So that was how the collab thing started with us. And then as we were building, a man who was here speaking yesterday, Damon John, who y'all are familiar with, founder of FUBU, he saw what we were building, and he reached out, and he was like, man, we need to do an Actively Black FUBU collab. And he set up a meeting. He walked into the meeting, and he was wearing a Actively Black hoodie, which I had to keep my composure. Growing up, wearing FUBU was everything to me, and here was the founder of FUBU wearing my hoodie. And we had the meeting. He asked me, what else are you working on? I showed him a deck of what a Black Panther Actively Black collab would look like. And this man picked up the phone in the middle of the meeting and called the head of licensing for Marvel and Disney. He said, you need to see what I just saw. 2-3 days later, I was in a pitch meeting with Marvel and Disney, and they approved us for the collaboration for Wakanda Forever. So that's kind of how it started.
It's crazy, crazy. And I know you can't pick from some of the collaborations, but what are some of the ones that stand out to you, or maybe something coming soon you want to tease?
So they all are extremely special to me because they all are very meaningful. We don't do collabs just for the sake of collab. There's a meaning behind everything that we do. I would say one of the most recent ones that we launched last year was a collaboration with Black farmers. We have a 100% cotton collection that we launched that uses cotton that was grown by Black farmers. And the significance of that is, Black farmers have lost 75% of their land in the last 75 years. Black farmers used to own 20 million acres. We only own 3 million acres of land now. And the historical discrimination against these Black farmers by the United States government, by the banks, have put them in a position where if we don't support them, they might become extinct in the next 10 to 15 years. That's just a reality. And so us being able to create a collection that's buying cotton from these Black farmers, it is a Black-owned supply chain from the dirt to the shirt. It's all Black-owned. It's something that I'm extremely proud of. But we also have a dope collab coming out next month with the Michael Jackson estate. Head of the Michael Jackson
this is
movie.
T right now. Y'all hearing it first. Hearing it first. It's a big deal.
Yeah, that's. I grew up as a Michael stan, so it's still surreal to me to be able to be working with the Michael Jackson estate on this collaboration, and with the movie coming out, it's going to be perfect timing for us to release it.
Incredible. We're going to have to talk about the Actively Black fashion shows, right? Has anybody here watched or seen or maybe even participated in one of their fashion shows before? Make some noise. These are incredible. So, you guys started doing these fashion shows 4 years ago?
2023 was our first one.
2023, 3 years ago. And the most recent fashion show last September in New York City. I just have to read this off. I want to get this right. So you brought together Ilyasa Shabazz and Bernice King, the daughters of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. on stage for the first time. You brought Fred Hampton Jr. on the stage. You brought Lisanne Basquiat, sister of Jean-Michel. You brought Frederica Newton, Huey P. Newton's wife. You brought Cecil Williams, the iconic drinking fountain, Defiance photo, right? Tommy Smith. All these incredible civil rights legends together on one stage. This is not a fashion show, is what you called it.
Right.
And it wasn't a fashion show. How did you do this, first and foremost? And because I don't think people understand, we've had these conversations, but I don't think people understand what that actually takes, and what's something that behind the scenes nobody knows that stressed you out the most that you were able to get over the line to make this happen?
Yeah, we don't have enough time to talk about that, but I definitely have way more gray hair now. I wanted to do something that, like I said, is beyond the clothes. And this is a reoccurring thing for Actively Black, that the clothes are just a uniform for the movement. You know what I mean? We're not really building an apparel brand. We're building something to uplift and reinvest back into the Black community. And the clothes is just the first part that is, the carrot that's bringing people in. So this is just phase one. And for this fashion show, we're living in a time where Black history is under attack. Black women are under attack. Our culture is under attack. And I wanted something that was going to galvanize our people, give us something positive to cheer for, something to inspire us. You can watch the news any single day and find something to be pissed off about, you know what I'm saying? And so to bring together Martin Luther King's daughter and Malcolm X's daughter, and to see them on that runway together was, man, it was powerful, man. There's people who stop me to this day that say they cry every time they watch one of those clips. And by the way, Spill, this is also the power of community. Spill was the only other company that decided to partner with us on this. We pitched the idea for this New York Fashion Week show to multiple companies and brands, and Spill came on board. They live streamed the whole thing. So I also want to thank you, man, for supporting us, man. That's what we have to do, you know what I'm saying, as a people. But, you know, and then Ruby Bridges, right? Ruby Bridges, for those who don't know, integrated schools as a 6-year-old girl. There's a famous photo of her being escorted into schools by federal marshals. And when she walked out on that runway and you just heard the audible gasp from the audience, part of it was because, you know, she's 71, black don't crack. She
looking like
45,
50. Yeah,
right? You know what I'm saying? But I think it brought to reality right in front of people's face that this stuff didn't happen 300 years ago, right? This is the same little girl who had to be escorted into a school by federal marshals to integrate schools, and she's walking on the runway. So there was a part of it where I wanted to bring Black history into the present right in front of everybody's face, so we could see that no matter if they take it out of the libraries, if they take it out of the museums, we're gonna bring it to you in person.
It's incredible. Please make some noise for that, y'all, because, like, you know, having been able to be there and, like Lanny said, be able to support, it really strikes you. It wasn't that long ago, and that just the existence of these folks and being able to, you know, a lot of them have suffered from political violence in their families and other crazy things, and for them to be there and experience joy, to give them their flowers, to see Ilyasa and Bernice arm in arm, like, enjoying themselves.
You know what, just, I got to touch on that really quick. I was building the show to be something that gave everybody else who viewed it a certain feeling, but one of the most, one of the greatest parts about what we were able to accomplish is talking to Ilyasa Shabazz and Dr. Bernice King and Ruby Bridges and Cecil Williams after the show, the amount of joy that they felt just by being able to receive that love, they're still talking about it to this day. So the fact that, to your point, it's almost abstract. We see Martin Luther King was assassinated, Malcolm X was assassinated. Their kids had to grow up without a father. They're heroes to us, but they had to grow up without a father, so there's trauma attached to that. For them to be able to have a moment where they felt love, man, that's the best thing to me that came out of it.
Which I think is perfect segue to my last question, and if we have time, we can take some from the audience, but my brother, you yourself just recently became a father.
Yes.
And congratulations.
Yeah.
Young Tucson is in the building,
he
I
back there
believe.
asleep.
So he
back there
he
asleep.
rested. But, you know, the tagline for Actively Black has been, there is greatness in our DNA.
Yeah.
Right, for a long time. So literally, your DNA is manifesting in front of us. Talk to us about how that has either elevated or transformed your perception of the work you're doing in the community that you're building with this brand.
Yeah, there's greatness in our DNA. I was intentional with that tagline because we are more than our trauma. We are more than what has been done to us, and the centuries of oppression and discrimination and racism, sometimes I think that seeps into the subconscious, and some of our people start to believe these lies that we were told. So the reason for that was to deprogram and reprogram our own people and understand that there's greatness in our DNA. We come from greatness. And so I come from greatness. My mother also integrated schools. She's a small country girl from Gina, Louisiana. Both of her parents had to stop school in the 4th grade to help pick cotton because their parents were sharecroppers. That's how close we are to this, right? My mother became the first in the family to graduate high school, college, became a computer programmer, one of the top computer programmers in the state of Texas. So when you think about a black woman in the early 80s as a mainframe computer programmer, I grew up with a superhero in my home, right? So knowing that I came from that greatness, and then having my son, who, by the way, y'all got to show some love. My co-founder and the queen, Bianca Winslow, is back there holding our son. Got to make sure I acknowledge her, because nothing that we've done with Actively Black will be possible without her by my side. And so my son gets to grow up and see that. He gets to see that greatness, and it's just inspired me even more that, yo, we have to build this thing. Like, it has to work. I want this to be something that if he chooses to, he can take this thing over, and however many years from now, Toussaint can be in front of the Inc., Founders House joint talking about, yeah, my dad built this, and now I'm taking this to the next level. So we talk a lot about generational traumas, but there's generational greatness that we have too.
Amazing. Shout out Bianca, Toussaint. Incredible. We got fuzz on me. Listen, y'all, I've been up here trying to dab, real sly, but appreciate you.
Yes,
this community right here. We're looking out. So we got a few more minutes left, but I just want to give you time, Lanny, to just say, is there anything else that you want to tell people in the audience about what's coming with AB, or things that you guys have that they can get involved with to help become part of this movement?
Yeah, like I said, the clothing has been phase one. We're really building a community and a global community. I want to make sure that I say that. You brought up that we outfitted Team Nigeria in the Paris Summer Olympics, and that was also intentional. What I'm building is not just for Black America. I believe that as a diaspora, once we understand the unity and the power in our unity, and we bring that together globally, we're not the minority anywhere on this earth, and there's power in that. And so when I told people I wanted to build the black version of Nike, they told me I was crazy. And thank you. The way that the tribe has been embracing this is something that I'm eternally grateful for. You know what I mean? This was something that me and Bianca literally were brainstorming in my apartment in 2020. And after we saw the murder of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery, there were a lot of brands who came out and made performative declarations about what they were going to do for the black community. And we see 4 or 5 years later that that's all it was performative. And that's okay, because my stance is, let's just stop asking for the seat at the table and let's build our own table. If we can build our own table, we don't have to ask anybody else to feed us. You know what I'm saying? And the numbers, the data shows that Black Americans spend $30 billion a year on apparel and shoes. That's just what our segment of America is spending a year on apparel and shoes, but we don't have a single $1 billion apparel brand. We don't got to ask nobody else for that. We can literally build that ourselves, you know what I'm saying? And so not only that, but two, I don't like to call them allies. I call them accomplices. Two, those who are not black, who support the movement and what we're doing. The Black Panther Party had this dream of bringing together all oppressed people, regardless of your color, your sexual orientation, your gender, whatever it was, because we're all fighting for humanity, right? And so if you're fighting for humanity, you believe in humanity, you should have no problem or no hesitation in buying and wearing Actively Black. It's supporting humanity, you know what I'm saying? And we're welcoming to any and everybody. There are some brands that have actually publicly come out and said, yeah, this ain't for everybody. This is just for our select audience. That's not what's going on here. Our people are very welcoming people, are very loving people. And anybody that's standing with us, we're going to stand with you, so.
Amazing. One time for that, truly, truly. So we got just a few minutes left if we have a question or two. Okay, start here, yes.
On 1 2 1 2. All right. You've built a community that has equity. You've built a brand that has equity. Can you talk to us about building a business from the financial perspective, building the equity there? Less than 5%, maybe even less than 2% of Black-owned businesses make it to $1 million, and you just quoted 30 million. So can you speak to how you are protecting and building the financial side and the equity in that part of your business?
Yeah, we spoke a little earlier, and I talked about us hiring a fractional CFO and how important that's been for us from a financial side to see what's actually going on inside of our business. A lot of times, because Black founders receive less than 1% of all venture capital, we're bootstrapping, we're being scrappy, doing whatever we can to make this dream happen. And a lot of times we're focused on the idea, the marketing, getting it out to people, and the financials are the last thing that we're kind of looking at, and then it ends up catching up to us, and sometimes it's too late. You know, we're seeing that happen with a lot of our brands that are not surviving. You know what I'm saying? We already know we're not going to get the same outside support, so we have to be more intentional about how we find the right people to make sure we're taking care of the taxes, everything that comes down, on the balance sheet and on the P&L. We got to pay attention to that. So yeah.
Just very quickly, I discovered your brand on Instagram.
Yes, sir.
And I would like you to be able to share with the audience, how are you fighting against the imposters or knockoffs? So when I started following you, all of a sudden brands started popping up indicating that they were selling African gear, but it turns out they were just taking people's money. So can you talk about what you have to do to protect your brand?
Yeah, at this point, we can't really do anything about the knockoffs. In fact, it was Damon John who actually told me, he said, that means you're doing something right. When they're trying to knock your stuff off, that you're doing something right. I think for me, is focusing on my tribe and my audience. And, I've had to get used to being the face and being in front of the brand, but that level of transparency and oftentimes vulnerability allows people to connect directly with us. So they know, if I'm not buying it from him, if I'm not buying it from Actively Black, I'm not getting it from anywhere else. And so it's less about trying to get these other brands to stop copying us, and more about, as long as I'm staying true to my people and my people are staying true to me, they can keep doing whatever they want to do. We're gonna keep growing. So yeah, it's annoying that people are intentionally trying to trick our audience to think that they're buying our product. I don't have the legal funds to go fight all those battles, so I'm just gonna focus on building my tribe.
But this is why the tribe is important. Call it out.
Right.
Tell everybody. Come on, Spill, talk about it too. We'll get there.
Hi, my name is Jordan Weaver. I'm from Charlotte. I live in Atlanta. I have a company called Forefront, and we're a creator marketplace connecting emerging BIPOC brands and content creators. And I'm really inspired by your story, just because that's kind of like the ethos of why I started Forefront, to just see more Black-owned brands at the forefront of the culture. And we kind of believe that the creator economy is an opportunity to kind of bridge that gap for that. So I'm just curious, especially even with Spill, how are you guys leveraging the creator economy to continue to grow your businesses, and how do you guys see, or if you guys see, creators, content creators, kind of being that bridge to really level up Black-owned businesses? Yeah,
I mean, I know that's part of the next step for us, is to invest into that more. What I know is that what our culture makes cool becomes cool to the whole world. You know what I'm saying? And so, but far too often, our culture is making things cool for the profit of people who don't care nothing about our people. So that next phase is to kind of build out that creator tribe that is actively creating content that's showcasing the brand and what we're about. We do a lot of that internally right now, but that is kind of the next phase for us. I talked about what we were able to spend with those Black farmers. With Black creators, we were able to spend over $350,000 with them last year, and that went into Black creators' bank accounts, you know what I'm saying? And so this isn't about Lanny Smith becoming the next whatever. This is about what can we build that now builds an ecosystem for all of our people to eat in whatever they're doing. So, yeah.
Great question. I'm so sorry that we're out of time, but just want to say thank you to Lanny for being so honest and direct. Please make some noise for Lanny, Actively Black, Bianca, Toussaint. Thank you so much to the Inc. team for letting us have this conversation. And yeah, go do something great, y'all. There's greatness in the DNA. Let's go.
ActivelyBlack.com.